I want to go across live to my colleague Gaurav Sawant. He's reporting tonight and he spent the day at the Hamirpur sector along the line of control. Gaurav, you've been to the line of control dozens of times. Describe to our viewers what you saw today and how this compares with the relative calm that we've seen for the last several years. How was your day at the line of control?
Rahul, in several sectors there has been very heavy firing from the Pakistani side. Ceasefire violations which were relatively rare after the Ramzan ceasefire of 2003, especially south of Pir Panjal in three sectors, whether it's Poonch, Rajouri, Mender, they lie shattered. Pakistan resorting to ceasefire violations and not just restricting to small arms fire or machine gun fire, but also escalating it to 120mm mortars, which is a major escalation. This is an artillery piece that is being used, and very cleverly Pakistan is using 60mm and 80mm along with 120mm in between, which is a heavier caliber weapon which is being used to inflict maximum damage even on civilians. And in the Poonch sector, several schools unfortunately have now shut down indefinitely before the NSA level talks, because on the street the fear is every time there are talks between India and Pakistan, Rahul, Pakistan resorts to either terror or ceasefire violation. And that is why Pakistan is resorting to massive ceasefire violations at this point of time.
Stay with me for a moment, Gaurav. Because earlier this afternoon, Gaurav caught up with the co-commander of the 16 Corps, Lieutenant General Nimborkar. Let's listen to what the Army's general in charge of responding to Pakistan's escalations has to say. What's his assessment of the security scenario along the line of control? And if Pakistan is upping the ante, what could their rationale be? This is an India Today exclusive.
With me is Lieutenant General Rajendra Nimborkar, the White Knight Corps Commander General. Welcome on India Today. You've just visited the ceasefire violation spots in Poonch. What's the latest, sir?
I just come back, as you say, and I find that now the ceasefire violation which were started by the Pakistanis is now tapering down, is less as compared to what it was in the morning, and I think after some time it should stop.
Okay. Now, a series of ceasefire violations. On Independence Day, they targeted our civilians. They've killed 6 civilians. They've injured several even today. What is Pakistan's game plan? They're targeting our civilians?
We have seen on 15th of August they targeted our civilians. As you say, we had 6 fatal casualties of the civilians. So it is obvious that they do want to inflict some casualties and damage onto our civil population, which I feel that as a professional army it is unethical, immoral and most unprofessional conduct.
So what they are doing is they are killing our civilians, they are targeting our posts. What you are doing is you are targeting those who are killing our civilians. But Pakistan has also been reporting some evacuation of their civilians.
You're absolutely right. As I said, we are a professional army. We don't believe in targeting the civilians. We target those who target us, and mainly our civilians and also our own posts. So therefore, a deliberate destruction or causing damage to the civilians is not our forte. We don't do that. As far as rearward movement of the civilians is concerned, from some of our posts we have seen some of the civilians going back. As to the quantum, I am not fully aware as to how many are there. Probably in the open domain in the newspaper we can find as to how many people have moved back.
One is ceasefire violations, and many seem to indicate that Pakistan wants to shift focus to ceasefire violations because they don't want to talk about Naved, they don't want to talk about Gurdaspur. Your appreciation of what happened in Gurdaspur, what's happening in Udhampur, is this the changing face of terror in our country?
I won't say that. You see, if you again go back in the history, except for Gurdaspur, which in the Punjab province of ours has happened after a long time. But as far as J&K is concerned, this has been happening all through. If you go and analyze the action in the last decade, this has been happening on and off. As far as 16 Corps is concerned, south of Pir Panjal, this area has been free from terrorist activities for quite some time. So this is one which has occurred after a long time. I can say with confidence after a decade or so. But I can't say this is a changing face of terrorism.
Was the Army's co-commander, and Gaurav, one of the interesting things that your report mentions is that the level of weaponry that's being used includes heavy mortars. Now that's just one stop short of using artillery, which hasn't really happened since the Kargil war. Now, how much do army officers on the ground see Pakistan escalating this to? Because there's very little difference between very heavy mortar firing and light artillery fire in terms of the damage that they can do when you up the hostilities so much. What is Pakistan trying to achieve, and what do they see happen over the next couple of days, because the NSA level talks are scheduled for 23rd and 24th?
Rahul, you've covered Pakistan's ceasefire violations along the line of control very extensively. After Kargil, till the Ramzan ceasefire of 2003, there was tremendous escalation. But since Pakistan then was focusing on its northwest frontier province, Pakistan sued for peace, it sought peace. Now Pakistan is once again trying to shift focus back to the south of Pir Panjal and to the Punjab-Jammu border. That is what the army appreciates. That is the intelligence appreciation, that ceasefire violations will only intensify in the next several days before the National Security Advisor talks on 23rd and 24th of August, which is also the appreciation of the civil administration here, which fears that the shelling will increase, and that is why they have advised parents that they should keep their children away from school. Several villagers have now moved away from villages to safer locations, and that is the big fear all along the Poonch, Rajouri, Mendar belt, that shelling will only intensify in the days to come. But the Corps Commander has assured me that Indian response is punitive.
Okay, India is responding firmly, but the reality is Pakistan continues to provoke just days ahead of the NSA level dialogue. Gaurav Sawant for joining us tonight. Thank you very much.